everyone, welcome back. My name is Eden. This is my channel Vapor Reads, and today I'm going to talk about some books that I read in the last couple of months. First one is 7 Days in the Art World by Sarah Thornton. I like this book a lot. It's a non-fiction book. Sarah Thornton is a sociologist and a journalist, and she goes around the world interviewing various artists and gallery owners and art collectors. And she gives a lot of insight of what goes on behind the scenes in the art world. She goes everywhere: Italy, Paris, New York, Japan, and she talks to a lot of really high-profile artists. The next book that I'm going to talk about is Cosmopolis by Don DeLillo. It's about this rich businessman. He's in, I think, late 20s. And he's riding around his limousine in New York, and he's seeing life pass by, and he philosophizes on what's going on. He meets up with certain characters that he knows and talks about business and life, and it goes places. It goes to some really weird places. I really enjoyed it. However, I did have a few problems with it, mainly that in a lot of his books, the characters, they tend to sound very robotic, and I think that's because he uses his characters as sort of a bridge to communicate his ideas and thoughts. Obviously, he's a writer, he's bound to do that, but it's in a very direct way, and sometimes these characters deliver some really philosophical and idealistic lines in a very robotic and technical way. But either way, it was really enjoyable. The next book that I'm going to talk about is called Music, the Brain, and Ecstasy: How Music Captures Our Imagination by Robert Jourdain. It is a non-fiction book. It basically tries to explain the origins of music, how music theory developed over the years in the classical era and up to now, and the physical effect that music has on us, and as well as the mental and emotional effect. I liked it. It gets surprisingly deep in the beginning when it tries to explain musical theory and how to read music and how certain melodies interact with each other. It's really cool to learn about that stuff, especially for music lovers. And then it gets on to how we receive music, how our brain processes music. It's really cool, very interesting stuff. I recommend it if you are looking for a non-fiction book to read. The last book that I finished in September was The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I absolutely loved this book. It's a very personal look at depression. Sylvia Plath has just brilliant moments in this where you feel like you are in the main character's head as she's describing all these emotions and physical feelings that are happening to her. It's about a girl that has sort of a scholarship for this magazine as a journalist, and she had a lot of goals in life, but she is dealing with depression, and that takes a toll on her and some of the relationships she has with her friends and some interactions she has with other people that make it worse. And sometimes friends and family can't help. I think that's one of the points of this. Anyways, read it. It's absolutely necessary. It's a classic. Read The Bell Jar. The next book that I finished in October was La Pista de Hielo by Roberto Bolaño. I absolutely love this book. It is one of my favorite things ever right now. It's a very slim book, very short story, but really enjoyable. It is about these three people in a small coastal Spanish town that get involved in a love relationship, let's say, and there is an ice rink in which a murder is committed, and they are all somehow connected to it, and it's sort of a murder mystery, but it doesn't focus a lot on the mystery itself, because it's not that type of, Agatha Christie type of murder mystery. It's a lot more of a character study. You learn about the past of these people and how they are and what they can do in certain extreme circumstances. Another book that I finished in October is El Aleph by Jorge Luis Borges. This is actually a reread inspired by Sad-Eye. She's another booktuber. She has some really cool videos. Check out her channel. I love Borges. He's one of my favorite Hispanic authors. His stories are very surreal. They deal with immortality and eternity and labyrinths. He was a very smart person. He knew a lot about classical mythology and literature, so he incorporated a lot of references in his stuff. So at first it might be a little tough to understand. For me it was, at least. But once you get into the rhythm of his writing, it's definitely worth it. So check his stuff out. The last book that I finished in October is Malcolm Lowry's Under the Volcano. It's basically about this alcoholic man named Jeffrey Furman living in Mexico, and about how his family and friends are trying to help him battle alcoholism. It's a very beautiful book. There's some insanely pretty passages in here. Malcolm Lowry himself lost his battle with alcoholism, and there's a lot of personal stuff in here. He had to deal with a lot of the things that he wrote about, and it's very tragic. It's very comedic at times, but ultimately very, very tragic. There were a lot of allegories and allusions to older classical literature, and there was a lot that went over my head, but it was still enjoyable. His prose is kind of difficult because he liked to play a lot with time and perspectives and points of views. It moves very quickly, but it's very enjoyable, beautiful prose. I recommend it. So now I'm going to show you some of the ones I'm currently reading, starting with Michael Crichton's Timeline. I'm not enjoying it a lot. What I do like about it is that he tries to make time travel sound feasible and realistic if we had the resources to do that. If there was technology available to do that, it does sound feasible. So that way it's kind of cool, but otherwise not liking it a lot. Next book I'm currently reading is a short story collection. This one is called Songs of a Dead Dreamer and Grim Scribe, and it's by Thomas Ligotti. Thomas Ligotti is a horror writer. This is a collection of horror stories. He writes a lot of what people call cosmic horror. Deals a lot with the unknown and forces that we can't control. Very good. The writing is can be a bit much at times. Very purple prose, but still pretty good. This is another set of short story collections that I'm reading at a time, and it's called Ojos de Perro Azul by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. They talk a lot about ghosts and unknown entities and possession. So I guess you can call this a horror short story collection. And of course Gabriel Garcia Marquez does magical realism very well, and he incorporates a lot of that in this. The last book that I'm currently reading is this Uzumaki, and is a manga by author Junji Ito. It's another horror story collection, and they are based around a town which is seemingly possessed or affected by spirals. It starts off very simple and escalates into like really cosmic alien gods horror story. It's very cool. If you like manga, If you like horror stories, get this. So that's it for the ones that I'm currently reading. These next ones are some that I'm thinking about picking up sometime soon. First one is Thus Spoke Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche. Sort of a philosophical novel. The Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. It has to do with the World Fair in Chicago in 1893 and a serial killer that's going around. I do know that it's being made into a movie by Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio, so that's pretty interesting. And this last one that I'm interested to read is Regarding the Pain of Others by Susan Sontag. I think it's supposed to be about the effect that the media has on people when it comes to showing images of war and grief and tragedies around the world. So in between September and now, I actually bought a ton of new books. I'm going to show you some, not all, because that'll make this video even longer than it needs to be. I'm just going to show you the ones that I'm really excited about, and I think they're the most interesting out of the pile. Starting with The Dying Grass by William T. Bowman. The one thing that struck me about this book when I saw it, besides how big it was, is that the format is very interesting. There's a lot of photographs in it. It's very poetic. Of course, William T. Bowman's writing has been like that, so no surprises there. The next one I picked up that I thought was very interesting is Bats of the Republic by Zachary Thomas Dodson. This book caught my eye because the format is just all over the place. There are maps, it's epistolary in some of the parts, there are not only letters but telegrams, there is a book within the book, there are illustrations, there are news story clippings. At the end there's a letter which you are told not to open until the end or never. And of course that's up to you when you open it. It's part of the whole mystery of the book. And last but not least is The Familiar Volume 2, Into the Forest by Mark Z. Danielewski. I bought The Familiar Volume 1 when it came out, and I haven't read it yet because I'm waiting for the third volume, just so I can read them all at once. And I know I'm kind of taking a gamble on this because they are very big books and they're kind of expensive. But I have read a couple of Danielewski's books in the past before, and they've been really interesting, and they play a lot with the print and the formatting. If you look at this, and it might look gimmicky, and it might be gimmicky, but I don't know, to me it still looks interesting. It's very poetic, and there's a lot of stream of conscious writing, and I don't know, it just looks really cool, and I can't wait to get into it. So that's it for this video. I want to thank everyone for watching, and all the new subscribers. Thank you, and let me know, what do you think? What are you reading? What have you read? What are you thinking of reading? What have you bought? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye.